Well, I have a treat for you guys today. I have Marc and Kelsey. And so they do a couple of things. One of the biggest things they do is raise awareness about mental health conversations. And so that's a huge component. But awareness is not enough. They actually help you build structure and routine into your life through small daily disciplines that help you build resilience. And I can tell you, it absolutely works. Welcome to the Mental Health Janitors, where we help you clean up the mess in your head. I'm your host, Sergeant Q, and with me today, I have Marc and Kelsey. And Marc has an incredible story about his own transformation of going from being an undiagnosed with mental health to a very successful man today. So welcome to the show, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's great. So what's the one thing, Marc, that you want the audience to walk away with today? What's that bold statement that you want to just plant right here early?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is, we didn't normalize conversations with mental health. I think that for the longest time that we're, or at least from my perspective, from a male perspective, we're told that it's a weakness to share your feelings, that it's a weakness to share what's going on the inside. And for the longest time, we try to be, quote unquote, man up or what have you. And it's like a cancer growing on the inside of your body that can lead to quite destructive problems. Like in my case, I became an alcoholic and drug addict. And once I became open, honest, and transparent to normalize the problem and got the proper structure and proper support, I was able to recover and live the life that I'm living right now.
So tell me a little bit about that, Marc. Tell me about when you were in those moments and you were undiagnosed. Like, what was that like? Honestly,
I thought I was defective, to be honest with you. I mean, I really did. I just thought I was I was an executive in the insurance industry, and I was an extremely anxious person, and I would get panic attacks doing public speaking. And, the issue I had is once I got into management, I had to do a lot of corporate presentations, and I'd be fighting through panic attacks, even though I had years of experience in the industry. And I just felt there was something wrong with me. I really didn't know there was a medical diagnosis. And honestly, that's where kind of the self-medication started to come in, was to try to decrease the anxiety and try not to get through a presentation, with the panic attack and look like a fool on stage in front of 700 people, or in some instances, 1,000 people.
Yeah, Marc, I know exactly what you're talking about. Struggling with mental health, not understanding it, and then going straight to self-medication, partly because who do I talk to about this? Nobody in my life at that point had any experience with it. Or if they did, they sure weren't sharing it with me at all. And so like you, I now want to talk to everybody about it. I want to normalize the conversation so people they don't have to suffer in silence like we did.
I mean, I tell people all the time, it's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength to be able to express your emotions to somebody else. And I try to normalize as much as possible with everybody that I talk to, whether it's somebody I'm trying to give guidance to or just a general conversation out to eat with, with a buddy or what have you. Biggest issue is, as far as normalizing the problem, again, in my opinion, secrets are like cancers that grow inside of you. You need to be open, honest, and transparent. We all have a strength. We all have a strength threshold, okay? But once you actually maximize that threshold, that those issues going on inside of you can manifest into other things. And like I said before, with me, it was alcohol and substances, but I mean, it could be eating, it could be gambling, it could be hoarding, it could be, it's various addictions out there, shopping addictions or what have you. So the biggest thing for me was, to obviously normalize the conversations, but also create structure and create support with like daily rituals and daily disciplines, that's going to lead to like a recovery lifestyle, and also be able to keep my mental health in check on a daily basis.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say, Marc, is that it may manifest in different ways. Like we're all struggling with this. It may manifest in different ways where sometimes it might be alcohol or drugs or shopping or food. These are all called maladaptive coping mechanisms. But more commonly, it's just the things that we do to alleviate the pain and discomfort that we're feeling that turn out to not be healthy and cause more of a problem later. That's really what we're talking about.
It creates more suffering. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. I mean, you're going to go through pain in life, but suffering's optional. And that's the one thing that I've learned through all of this.
That is so true, Marc. The suffering part is optional. So what is the solution? If you could sum it up in 1 or 2 sentences, how do we fix this problem?
Well, how do we fix this problem? I mean, one, I know we've come a long way when it comes to mental health awareness and then the stigma and all that stuff, but we got a hell of a long way to go.
All right, guys. So tell me, what's the solution to this? Like, if you could break it down into 1 sentence, 1 phrase, what do you guys think the solution is?
Well, I can tell you right now, the real solution is not trying harder or trying to be stronger. It's learning to speak up and get the support that you need before collapse happens. Support stabilizes emotion. Structure stabilizes behavior. And that's when real happiness is going to it's going to occur. So, I mean, obviously I believe in this because of the life that I lived. I mean, I had undiagnosed mental health with the PTSD, general anxiety, major depressive disorder, but I battled alcoholism and I had an extreme addiction to opiates to the point where I was abusing fentanyl at the end. I mean, I've survived multiple overdoses. I had multiple visits to psychiatric care and drug and alcohol treatment. It was just one of those things where I really did hit my rock bottom. And, when I hit my rock bottom, I was introduced to somebody that spoke at the hospital the last time I was hospitalized. And he said a couple words to me about, the work that needs to be done on a daily basis. And I took those words to heart because he had a similar lived life experience to me. So I started creating daily rituals, to make sure that I, number 1, kept my sobriety, and number 2, obviously kept my mental health in check. My sober date's July 17th, 2020, so we're coming up on 6 years, and haven't stumbled, which is a good thing. Don't plan on stumbling because I really do wake up every single day with that structure in mind. And not only has it worked for me, but it's worked with a lot of individuals in the community because I do make it really, it's my career now, helping others, get on the other side of their mental health crisis and their addiction crisis.
I love that, Marc. So we do 3 things here on the Mental Health Janitors. We want to educate people about the brain-body connection. Then we want to empower them with some tools they can use and then encourage them to take the next step in their journey. So what are you going to educate us about today?
Basically, the framework that we work with people is what we call our mind-body rhythm. So basically starting with the mind, and, that's really just, the self-talk, that's the reframing, that's trying to see a positive in every negative situation, looking at the glass half full, daily affirmations, things of that nature. And then when we talk about the body, that's what you're putting in your body that's affecting your brain chemicals. That's movement, where whatever that means to you. Some people that could be a 15-minute walk in nature. Some people like Marc and I were gym rats, and that helps us out. And when it comes to rhythm, those are your daily rituals. That's your foundation. That's the things that you're doing differently now that's going to set you up for success. So if you're working mind, body, and rhythm, it's definitely going to take you where you need to go.
I love that, Kelsey. So when you talk about all of these different things, like I'm sure you guys have some sort of framework that you set up. What does that look like? If somebody was going to try and start this today, what would that look like? Where should they start?
Yeah, well, for starters, we're giving away a free ebook for anyone that's listening to this podcast, and there will be links to be able to get that. And what that's going to do is kind of help you create your own personal awareness. We have a diagnostic tool in that's going to help you lead to try and figure out where you're at in what we call the continuum of the strength threshold, whether you're strong because you need to be, you have to be just to get through the day, or you are truly strong. What we mean is supported with all your daily rituals. You're in a good place to maintain and to withstand a lot of the things that happen in life that would tend to bring most people down. And at one time you were one of them. And so we try and take people along that continuum. And that's really where it leads into, what we do with our coaching clients.
That's fantastic. So this ebook there's a self-diagnostic tool in there and like a quick start guide to get them started.
Absolutely.
So what do you think is like the most valuable component inside of that ebook? If there was just one thing, what would that be?
It's awareness, where they're at right now, because a lot of people don't even think that they're experiencing any mental health issues, because we talked about there's shame involved in that for a lot of people, which is why, awareness of mental health and the fact that we're all struggling with something. I mean, I contest that everybody has either gone through something or is going through something or has somebody that's really close to them that's going through something. Mental health is everywhere. We can't deny it anymore. We can't run from it anymore. So that awareness step of trying to figure out where you're at right at this moment, and then how you're going to get moving in a direction towards healing.
Man, that is such a valuable tool. I have these conversations with people all of the time. I was on a podcast just about a month ago with a guy, very successful, and he wanted to interview me about, overcoming hardship and trauma and all of these things. And he says, well, I've never dealt with trauma. I never had trauma in my life. I'm just fine. I don't have any problems with it. But as we started to go through the conversation and I started to show him what it looks like, the thoughts, feelings, and emotions, the avoidance that we have to certain things because of our past life experience, I literally watched this guy melt in front of me. And he started to realize, like, this is me. Everything you're talking about are things that I'm doing. And I had no idea up until this moment right now that it was because of a past trauma that I experienced. And then literally halfway through this conversation, his whole demeanor changed. And the questions, they became less about me and more about him and his life as he's figuring this out for the very first time right on camera. And then after the show, he pulls me aside and says, hey, my daughter's really dealing with anxiety. I have no idea what to do. Like, she's been hospitalized. I don't know what to do. I don't understand this. I'm just now figuring it out for the first time. And so it was one of the coolest moments to watch somebody in real time recognize that the way that they act the way they do, good or bad, is because of something that happened in their past. And it's so awesome and freeing for that individual when they recognize it and say, oh, this is why. And now here's some steps I can put in place to overcome it. So I love that you guys have that diagnostic tool. That's amazing. I wish I would have had something like that 2 decades ago when I was living in my car. So this is really important. And I'm going to pull down this free tool, you guys, and I'm going to use it and I'm going to share it out with people because I know exactly how valuable this is. And I'm going to start sharing it with everybody I know because I didn't even know a tool like this existed. And now that I do, I'm going to be sharing it with people. And if you guys want this tool, it's super easy. You go to thefirstonesfree.com. You find their podcast. It's right there. The links are in the show notes. You can get this free diagnostic tool and ebook to help you execute on the things that they were just talking about. So now I know my audience and we like to educate, empower, and encourage people. So let's encourage them to take the next step. So what does the next step look like if they want to work with you? Like, this resonated with them. They get this diagnostic tool and this ebook and they're like, okay, what do I do now?
Yeah, well, that's the great thing about the ebook is it literally leads right into our 30-day intensive. So it's basically setting the framework, and then it leads into our 30-day intensive, which what that looks like is 5 modules done over 30 days. And then after you complete it, you actually will have a coaching session, just you and Marc and I, and we will sit and do a coaching session, not a group call where people are afraid to speak up, but just a one-on-two situation where Marc and I will sit there and we will ask you about your last 30-day journey and anything we can help you with and help you put together a plan moving into the future.
Man, that sounds incredible, you guys. Gosh, none of this stuff existed years ago. And so I'm so glad that we're all building it now to help the next generation as they start to unpack mental health and what does it look like and what do I do about it? I'm just so glad that there are other people working in this space. So share with me, you guys, what's one final story that you'd love to share with our audience today?
Well, first of all, the one thing about this diagnostic and this tool that we've come up with is it really does affect all walks of life, and it's going to help people of all walks of life. You know, I'm a white collar professional, did really good in the insurance industry. You know, I've given some guidance to people that are white collar professionals, but you know, we've seen all different ethnicities, male, female, what have you. But yeah, the one gentleman in particular that Kelsey is referring to, I was doing insurance one day, and I had a really cool boss, and I would be giving a quote on insurance and answering my cell phone about alcoholism, drug addiction, and mental health because I live a life of service. And there was a lady 2 cubicles over says, what's the deal? What's going on? I said, well, I'm in recovery. I'm a drug addict, alcoholic in recovery. She's like, will you talk to my boyfriend? I said, I have no problem talking to your boyfriend. She goes, he's a little bit different than you. He's Hispanic from the south side of Chicago, and he's been in gangs since he was like 14 years old. Time I met him, he was like 28, 29 years old. And she set up the meeting. It was in the front seat of her car. And it was the most awkward meeting that I probably ever had for the first maybe 10 to 15 minutes because nobody was talking because he thought I was a cop. He thought it was a setup, actually. And then I started sharing a little bit about my story and, kind of some of the things I went through. And he kind of looked at me and started opening up, and we started talking a little bit. And he started opening up a little bit more, and he was like, man, you're pretty cool for a white dude. I'm like, your girlfriend wouldn't have set you up like that, you know. Trust me, I've lived a life. We might look different, we might have different backgrounds, but addiction and mental health is the same thing. It's non-discriminatory. Make a long story short, he's off the streets. He's been sober for about 3.5 years off of alcohol and substances. And now he actually is a business owner and owns a barbershop in the suburbs of Chicago, very successful barbershop. And I love him like a brother. And it's so cool because I do go in there and support him. He shaves down my head, lines up my beard. I don't have a beard like you, Sergeant Q. I wish I did. And, he brings people in there. Like literally while he's doing my beard, he's bringing people in off the streets, and we're doing like little recovery meetings and things like that. And he's trying to pay it forward too. It's just a really cool story. And, how a relationship established. And, of course, they always ask him, how'd you meet that white dude? And then, of course, I got people saying, how do you meet these people? And I'm like, the recovery world, it's beautiful.
It really is. It really is. I have a good friend who's same thing, recovering meth addict and criminal. He found the Lord, got his life straight, and he has a barbershop, very successful barbershop. And it's the exact same thing. Every time they're sitting in that chair, he's got a captive audience. And so he's able to just share with them about recovery, about the gospel. And I mean, they're a captive audience. They're not going to get up halfway through a haircut, right? So he's able to spend that time focusing on them.
And there's a little caveat to that story. He met a gentleman. We have T-shirts and sweatshirts and stuff like that. And he has one. This gentleman has one. He met a guy and says, where'd you get that shirt from? And he said, my buddy gave it to me. He goes, why? He goes, I read a book in jail with that same logo on it. Now, Kelsey and I have no idea how the book got in jail, okay? But the gentleman that I helped, he owns the barbershop, he's like, well, that's my buddy, man. He's like, well, I'd like to meet him. So I just met him for the first time last week. And, I mean, he was like nervous to meet me. I'm like, dude, I'm just an average guy, man. And we sat and talked, and he brought his girlfriend. He's obviously out. He's sober. He told me that his cellmate is sober. He's out as well. He was doing some time for an alcohol-related charge. And his girlfriend looked at me and says, I don't know what the hell's in that book, but when he came out of jail after reading that, he's a changed man. That's what it's all about, man.
It is. You're absolutely right. That's exactly what it's all about. Thank you guys so much for all the knowledge that you guys kicked down to us. The really cool free tool. I'm going to go check that out. I'm going to download it and start using it and sharing it. So for the Mental Health Janitors, I'm Sergeant Q, and I'm out.